Hey, today I'm doing an oil change on a 2004 RX330. I was surprised. There's a few written tutorials, but I was surprised to see there were no videos out there, so I figured I'd make a little video of it. Hopefully it helps someone. Thanks. Okay, so this is the stuff that I pulled aside to make this video and to do the oil change. I've got a oil catch pan here that I grabbed on Amazon. 2 jack stands, that's just a safety backup, 5 quarts of 10W30 synthetic oil. I got a 10mm and a 14mm socket that we're going to need. Of course, the oil filter and some new washers. Just a quick note about the jack stands and the ramps. These ramps are rated for 9,000 pounds. Despite the car only weighing a little less than 4,000, maybe I'm just paranoid, but I definitely always use jack stands as backup, and I recommend you do too. Okay, so I've lined up both jack stands with the tires. I try to just keep them as even as possible with the tires. And we're going to drive up nice and slow and just make sure they're straight. I'm going to kick this one in a little bit. I did add a jack stand there just to be safe. There's a little bit of extra protection. And we can get started with this oil change. This does not make an oil change very easy. We've actually got to take this panel down, which has some screws that go across. There's one here that's missing. There's one here. One here. You may have some clips, depending on who's done the oil change in the past. If these screws go missing, clips get broken. This is an example of one of the clips that should just pop out with a flathead screwdriver, but usually they just pull right off, and I order a bag of them and I have a bunch of extras. These bolts should be 10mm bolts. That's what I'm using here. They come off pretty easy. So there are those top row of screws up here that I've done. It's actually kind of see here, there's 2 pieces of this panel. Most of you are probably going to have a door here that's held on, or actually I think it's here. You can see these clips. That's to access the oil drain plug, which you can see is right there. So on this car, when I received it, it didn't have that panel. I don't think that panel is really important. I think it's just a decorative piece, but just so you know, when you take yours apart. The reason we dropped this down, just so you have perspective, looking up from the front of the car, back there, you can see our oil filter. Gonna put it right underneath the drain plug, which we can see is up here. That's a 14mm. I'm going to take that off with a 14mm, and we're going to let it drain. One thing that's a good idea is before you drain the oil, just take this off. It'll get a little air in there and help it drain a little bit better. See that draining out now? Pulled the plug. I just dropped the plug right in the pan. It's 5 quarts, so it's going to take a little while to drain that out. And you can see it's actually looks pretty dirty. Now, as far as that oil filter goes, I was actually able to break that loose just with my bare hand. I mean, obviously your miles vary based on your car, but in my case, oil was done fairly recently, probably within 3,000–4,000 miles, and I was able to just, I'm able to twist that off. I haven't done it yet, but I'm able to twist it off with my hand. As you can see, I made a little bit of a mess here. That's not abnormal for me when I work on my car. Lesson learned on this car, don't take the oil filter off until you put the screw back on for the drain plug. What happens is the 2 spouts that drain the oil from the drain plug versus the filter are far enough away where one was pouring out of the driveway and one was pouring into the catch pan, and I had to quickly correct the situation, but we'll get that cleaned up. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to take a dab of this used oil here, and I'm just going to rub it around the seal of this this new filter. This will just help it seat. And I'm going to put this on, twist it on by hand. There's rarely a reason to use a wrench to put an oil filter back on. You should be able to get it nice and snug. You don't need to wrench it down crazy tight. The last step is going to be put the 5 quarts in. I just took this. I used a State Farm ad that came to my house. It's just a piece of paper I rolled into a funnel. That'll make this a little easier. I probably should just invest in a funnel, but hey, it's a good thing to do with junk mail.